Hey YouTube land, this is Tycon here, doing another action figure review. This time it is for the ginormous, and I mean ginormous, the box itself is pretty damn big. Warhammer 40,000 Vanguard Space Marines Ultramarines Invictor Tactical Warsuit. Now, I'm going to go through the box first, because there's quite a lot to unpack in this thing. Well, there is and there isn't. I mean, the machine itself was pretty much pre-assembled. There was a few bits you need to put together, but the way it's packed is quite nice. On the side of the box, you have just name. The box itself is a pretty big damn box. If I can just bring in my tape measure, you may not be able to see the top of the tape measure, but the dimensions of it, it's 13 inches in height, and it's 12 inches in width, and it is 8 inches in depth, so it is quite a big box, and it is for people 15 plus. So on one side of the box you have the logo again, on the other side you have the "this is not a toy" information and all the legalese stuff, and it just continues on. On the back of the box you have images of what this thing entails or includes. So you have the pilot and the suit itself. So what Joytoy did, which is quite nice, is they actually included an actual pilot figure for this. It's not a case of you buy this big hunking mech thing and you have to go out and buy an extra figure for the pilot. You actually get a pilot for this. So opening up the box, when you open the box, you are treated to this big giant foam insert, which is different to how they packed the Marines themselves. They were packed with just a plastic tray. And if I just pop this out, bear with me a moment while I pop this out. I'll have to do it maybe off screen. Or no, it's coming out of the box. So you do get one of those collector cards with it. Thought I'd have to do it out of the screen. So the way this comes is it's like this in the box, and when you open it up you have the big foam tray, packing tray for the actual suit itself, and then the accessories and the pilot figure are separate. So there is a small bit of tape that you have to take off and put assemble. So the honking big bolt gun that goes on its arm is a separate piece. The figure, the pilot figure, is down here. His backpack is separate. His bolt gun is separate. You have two big areas here for where the feet of the mech go. I just move the plastic cover off. You get a extra set of hands for the figure, and you get a bolt pistol for the figure as well as the bolter. And if I flip this, it just says Invictor Tactical Warsuit. The rest is all in Chinese, which I can't read, unfortunately. And you just get an image of the collector card on the front. It's very similar to what we got with the Space Marines. If I just grab one off screen here, this is the Liberian Orcus. That's the same idea. You get a collector card. So I would imagine it follows suit with the when the Chaos Space Marines get released, because they all have named characters or named Marines, like and the Space Wolves, which also have their own version of this mech suit. So they'll have probably a named character for driving that. So let me get set up and we'll get cracking on the big mech itself, and we'll get into that. So bear with me a moment and I'll get everything set up. So here we are with the big honking great mech suit. So I suppose the best thing to do is go through the pilot stuff first, and then get onto the suit itself. So for the pilot, he's your kind of standard Space Marine. He's not an actual intercessor. The armor design is not exactly intercessor. I think it's more the retributor, or not retributor, reaver, I think. So he has a slightly less armored torso. So if I bring in one of the actual intercessor Marines, I'll show you what I mean. So the body, the main chunky body, is a lot more armored up. He has very similar design. He doesn't have this extra neck piece. He still has the same backpack. The only difference is the gunmetal on this guy's backpack is a lot darker. He has the antenna as well. He has a few more pockets. Legs seem to be the same for the up on the hip, but lower down you can see he has less he's less armored to give him more ease, well, to make it easier for him to sit in the suit. The shoulder pads are different as well. He has a slightly cleaner, more neater shoulder pad. So with these guys, I don't think they can fit in the mech itself. They're a bit too chunky, whereas this guy's a little bit more streamlined just to get that fit. One thing that's of interest, he does have these pockets on his side. They do actually just plug out. You can have him sit in the mech, no problem with those in. You can take them off for ease. They do actually have him with a bolt pistol holster, but with a bolt pistol handle. And I did mention on the review for the Space Marines, here's the Space Marine one, that you can see it doesn't actually have the handle for the gun on it. It would have been cool if they had incorporated a system. It does look like it's a separate piece, but you can't remove it, where you could just pull that out and it just gave you the visualization that you have the bolt pistol in his hand. That's from that holster, because you do get a bolt pistol, or I'm pretty sure they're bolt pistols. I can't for the life of me remember if they're giving them another name, because they used to be bolters and bolt guns. Now they're called bolt rifles, so I'm not sure if the bolt pistols have been renamed as well, but I'm pretty sure they're still bolt pistols. So you can hold that in pretty much both hands. Now the default hand he comes with is intended for the bolt rifle, or the bolt gun. His bolt gun is also interesting in the fact that it looks like it should have a strap on it, but it doesn't come with one. You can see where the strap would normally be. And one other really cool additional thing on this one is it has a removable magazine, which is really, really cool. So you can give him, if you want to have him sitting out without being sitting in the mech itself, which is just as cool, you can have him standing reloading his bolter. So you can have him holding the bolter in one hand, and we just get that clip out again. You can have him holding the clip with his offhand. You can make it look like he's about to reload his bolter, which is really, really cool. It has a whole bunch of scopes on it and red dots, which is pretty nice. And even the helmet design is different to the normal Marines. Now, I don't have the normal Marine helmet design with me, but this one has the kind of extra bionic interface on the side. And the helmet is a different design. It doesn't have the bigger tubes going down the front, and it doesn't have the flat kind of faceplate. It has a more ring to the classic Space Marine kind of look, but it is different again. One thing to note as well is this harness piece. He comes with this harness piece. It comes attached to him in the box, but it's quite easy just to slip it on and off. It's supposed to represent him piloting, like being strapped into the suit of the mech. His backpack is removable. I'm going to have to do it off screen because it is a bit... The peg are very tight on the backpack, so it is similar to the Space Marines where pegs in and out. I would be wary about the pegs on this. So if you're intending just to keep him as a pilot, you can leave the backpack off. He can't sit in the mech with the backpack on. So I just want to make sure I have this the right way around. There is an indent on the inside of this for the skull on the chest plate, which if I just squeeze these arms in, it does fit over quite nicely, so it gives that look like he's strapped in with a seatbelt onto the mech. He does have the ultramarine logo on one side and the tactical logo on the other side, which is the same company tactical logo on the Marines. It's a little bit brighter on this guy. It's a little faded on some of the Marines. Even the ultramarine logo, I think, looks a bit more stronger. The white is a little bit less faded. He still retains the same dry brushing kind of edge highlights that they've done, which is quite nice. And he comes with extra hands. So he comes with a extra trigger finger hand. He comes with a grip hand which has the thumb not attached to the fingers. And then he comes with the same two kind of fists that are kind of, they're open fists, but they're not the thumb and index fingers, and well, the thumb, middle finger and index fingers are all connected, so they're not a separate piece. If you were to open them up, you'd have to cut through the thumb and it might wreck the model. So there is that. So on to the big, or the elephant in the room. Yeah, it's not really an elephant, it's a giant tactical warsuit. So onto the tactical warsuit in the room. It is quite a big chunky piece, so I may end up knocking my camera around a bit. So, oh yeah, two other things that come separate in the box, they're actually part on that tray, is these giant antennas. They plug in, and once they're in, they don't seem to come back out. So you have one large antenna on the right side and a smaller antenna on the left side. So they are dedicated for each side. So I don't think you can mess up which one they go onto. But they are intended to, once they're in, I don't think they're intended to pop back out. I could be wrong, but I don't want to force, actually, I stand corrected. They do pop, well, this one seems to pop out. This one seems to be plugged in, so I don't want to force that one. Overall, it is a really, really nice mech. It has the same weathering and dry brush kind of, or the edge highlighting that the Marines have. The detailing is very nice on it. I'm still kind of getting used to how big this thing is and how much articulation it has. So it's fairly articulated. So I'll try and give a good rundown of the articulation. So this hand can rotate all the way around, and it has a moving thumb with fingers. It is intended to hold on to the giant honking great big bolt gun, which is this thing. Now the magazine on this doesn't come out. It has a peg here, and it pegs into the hole on the side of the leg, so it can be stored on the suit. I had it in this area where you have to manipulate these hands around. They're on a ball peg, so, but they're a bit tricky and they're really hard to do on screen, but they are on a ball peg. So when you're moving them, they can move around. They are designed to manipulate. And as I said, they actually have joints on the knuckle. So you have first knuckle, second knuckle, third knuckle, or the base of the finger, knuckle and knuckle, I suppose. So you can get some really cool grasp looks to it. Now, unfortunately, I don't have this in a really good spot that it can grasp onto the bolt gun that easily, but it is possible to do so. So you can have it holding that big giant gun. Arms are on ratchets. So if I just move this, it's a very tight ratchet on the left arm. It ratchets out. There's a ratchet at the wrist. There's no elbow swivel, so just be careful on that. I don't think it's intended to have elbow swivel, but you have these which move, like the hand itself moves around, so you have plenty of range of movement. The guns at the front move up and down. They're on swivels. The roll cage opens up, and one of the things I didn't even notice until recently, this bottom piece actually folds down a small bit as well, just to give extra clearance for the pilot to sit in. So I'll throw the pilot in. I'll just get him into a seated position. Pilot has all the same articulation as the Marines. So ball jointed head, swivel shoulders with a hinge. The shoulder pad is on a small peg and it can move out of the way. There is a swivel at the shoulder, double hinge elbows, ball jointed wrist. The upper torso, ab crunch, waist swivel. This is a diaper piece, is kind of slightly more rubber to give more range of movement. Dual jointed knees, so you can actually kick all the way back practically, kick forward, kick back, thigh swivel, rocker ankles, and those little toe hinges as well. So he has all the range of movement of the basic Marines. And if we can just get him into his cockpit here, I just need to move his gun a small bit to get it in. He can fit in quite nicely. Just getting him in initially can be a bit daunting. Once he's in, he's in. There is handles for him to hold onto, so you can have him hold onto this, and you can hold onto this one here Just get his thumb around it. So you can have him hold it sideways. There's a actual underneath handle, so you can actually hold it underneath as well. And just get this thing to close down. Sometimes you just need to make sure his shoulder pads are out of the way, so there's indents for this roll cage to go back into. And once it's in, he's nicely situated inside this thing. So as I said, he can't really sit in here with the backpack on. The backpack will get in the way, but you can still manipulate the head in here just through the roll cage. So you do have that option. You could probably move the hands around if you wanted to do that, but you can make him look like he's looking in the direction you want him to look if he's moving the arm or anything like that. So it's pretty sweet. Other arm is also on a ratchet. It's a little bit less snappy than this one. Again, say this one has the elbow rotation, whereas the fist one doesn't, but he has same hinges, so it can go all the way around. Rotate this 360. Gun can move up and down. Detail wise on the gun is really nice. There's a little bit of a hollow spot just in under here where I think it's supposed to be the magazine, but it's nothing to really be worried about. The waist is actually a giant ball joint, so you get good range of movement on that. There is a missile pod up here at the top, which is on a hinge, but it also rotates 360. It's on a peg actually, and it just rotates 360. The legs are quite complex, so I'll try my best to get through those as well. So legs are on a ratchet, just like on the arms. The left one on this one is super tight as well. Knees are on ratchets. It's pretty much ratchet city on this guy. His legs, his feet have ratchets on the front two at here, the front one and the two at the side. The one at the back is a solid piece, so there's no ratchet on that. There is actually it's super tight. There is ratchets to give side tilt, and then there is a ratchet to give forward and back motion on the feet, and the feet, since they are separate when you get them, can rotate 360. And then there's this thing, which is some sort of brace, I think, and can move up and down. The knees aren't double jointed, but it does move quite forward and gets a good range of movement. So you have a fairly solid range of movement on this thing, and it can hold most poses quite well without falling over. Backpack isn't removable or anything like that, but it has a sweet range of movement all over the place. Very highly detailed. For the price point, I don't even mention what it cost, because they're quite pricey. But I knew I was going to get just the one, and since ultramarines are my kind of my army chapter, I just went with that. It was the easiest, but it does stand really well. It has a quite good balance, and I hope they do some of the more vehicles and stuff for this line, especially like the Rhinos or whatever the equivalent for the Primaris are now, those grav tanks. But overall, you got some really great motion and articulation out of this thing. I do recommend getting one if you can afford it. I wouldn't say it's a necessary. The Marines themselves are just as cool, but like if you want to go all in, you can get one, the kind of like a centerpiece for your Marines, even though the Librarian technically should be the centerpiece. He's a character model after all. But overall, this thing is really cool. So I hope you found this video informative and interesting. And as I say in my videos, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Cheers, guys.